Hi there, Justin here again from Brickright. We've had the job put on stop by building control up in on the extension that we're doing. So I'm just on my way up there now, and I'm going to show you exactly why he's put it on stop and go through a few pointers with you. So if you build an extension, then you know that this could potentially happen to you. So stay tuned, see you up on the job. Right guys, so I've landed on site. I'm in the cabin actually. I'm just going to show you on the plan what it actually says about these concrete foundations, and this is what we're talking about today. It's the actual concrete foundations of this extension that building control have put a halt on. So let's get into it and explain why. So as you can see there, if you start reading from there, look, contractors, I haven't got my glasses on, contractors to base tenders on a 750mm wide by 225mm deep foundation, right? It also goes on to say 550 and 225mm deep concrete strip foundation at 900mm below finished ground level, all level to match existing arrangement, which means existing foundations. Now we've based this trench on 750, right? Because I can't be asked doing 750 and then taking it to 550. We've just gone the whole thing 750. So we did that, and then I'll go out on site now and I'll show you what happened when we got down to those requirements and what building control said. Before I go there, this, to give you an understanding, all that there is the extension, right? All that there. These are the steels that you've seen in the last video holding that building up there. So that's what we're building. I'll show you another elevation now so you get a general idea of exactly what's being built. So there we have it. So this is the front elevation. When you get out on site now, and I'll show you, this is the building that the steels is actually supporting, okay? And all this with these three big ginormous bifolding doors, Velux windows, that's what's being built on the front. And that's one of the side elevations of it as you walk in to the entranceway on the side, that being the building that we're supporting. So now you've got an understanding. Let's get out on site and show you exactly what's going on. So here we are then, we're out on site now. So this is the foundations, right? So this is what happened. So these are the foundations that we've been digging out all the way around here and down there. So I need to start over there. So let's get you over there. Right, this is the other side. I've zoomed you in, right? So as you can see, when you dig foundations, you're coming through here. What you're looking for is clay, right? Now zoom you out. And when it goes from there back all the way around, it becomes to this made up ground, right? And what I mean by made up ground is ground that's been added and put there over time by industrial waste, and it's just been made up artificially. It's not existing ground. That is existing ground. It's been here thousands of years, okay? So we dug down to 900mm in this corner, and then we found out quite quickly that what was happening was the ground was crap, basically. So we I told the digger driver to dig down to a metre, see what was happening. Still crap ground. So then we contacted building control, and we were out to about by here when building control came. That was all dug down to a metre, so 100mm lower than what's stipulated on the plan, okay? Building control came. We all said, between the three of us, myself, Josh and the building control, we dig down another 200mm to try and get down, because we were on clay, but it was quite sandy, soft clay, and they weren't really happy with it, building control. So we went down another 300mm. Went down another 300. Now when you get past 1.3 meters and things start to get deep, you really do need to start considering, am I going to get shuttering in the trench and health and safety? And things take another dimension then when you start doing that. It starts getting quite costly and stuff for the customer. So we decided to stick to 1.3, and then if we didn't find solid ground, we could go back to building control. So what we did, we dug 1.3 all the way around. Building control then asked, could we get an engineer on site, because they weren't willing to make a decision on, you know, what to do in the ground. Normally what I found is building control, they like to make a decision on site and tell you on site exactly what they want you to do, and you just do it. So it's kind of the first time I've had an engineer involved, and the engineer, he says it was the first time that he's got involved in something like this as well. So, but anyway, building control said, engineer said, put some A393 steel, the width of the trench down here, where clay goes onto made up ground through here, and that's it. And then just what we were going to do, we were going to add more than the 225 thick. We were going to put 800 mil in there and trench fill it and flood the concrete, flood it with concrete, right? Now, let me go back in the cabin and I'll tell you what's happened. So I'm not in a cabin, I'll stay on site, okay? So what's happened is building control had the specification from the engineers. They weren't entirely happy with it. They said, building control, that the steel needed to go all the way around. So I just said, okay, well fine, we'll just put the steel all the way around then. In which time I'm relaying all this back to the customer, okay? Because, and this is where it becomes tricky for everybody, and this is where you guys, if you're looking at doing your extension, you really need to be considering having a contingency in ground, because the plan stipulates what it stipulates, i.e. a measurement that we as builders have got to go to, but that is not a definitive answer. If the ground like this is, you know, is made up ground or is soft ground, building control got every right to be able to tell you to dig down further. Now, who pays for that? Well, your client pays for that, and you as a builder or you as a client, you should be having some kind of contingency in the pot. Reluctantly, I know, but you should be having that money there put aside that if this eventuality happens. But what's happened here is, because it's made up ground, that now becomes a lot wider than 750, because as Josh was digging it, what's happening is made up. So all this ground was falling in, and all this ground was falling in. So let me tell you this, right? The customer has foot the bill for this. He gave us the go ahead to carry on. We kept him informed. We told him exactly what was what. The total cost so far to this point is £4,800, because as you can see, we've measured that in about 5 different places width-wise, and the average is about 1.5 to 1.8 meters wide, okay? So it's not 750 wide or the 550 as it says on plan. It's 1.5 to 1.8 meters wide, okay? So there's a heck of a lot more concrete now going in there as well to compensate, because it's pointless putting the shuttering in it, because you'd only have to fill it up with MOT type 1 anyway, and you can't compact it properly because it's down the side of the trench. It's just as well flooded with concrete. It's the best job, and it's the most cost effective job. So customer now, he's probably gonna have to pay double the concrete. So, you know, he's looking at a couple of grand to pay for the concrete now as well, isn't he? So what's actually happened now is building control have actually put us on stop now, because they want to see so the engineer gave them the report, said it's fine, crack on, I've done all my calcs on it. Building control questioned the calcs, right? Even though they asked for an engineer, they're now questioning the calcs, and they know the engineers, they know they're reliable, they know they're good, they've worked with them before. So I said to the building control officer, can we pour the bloody concrete, because every time the trench collapses, customers paying a fortune for it, and we're worried about the health and safety of it, because it's deep trenches and we don't want any kids to come in or anybody to go alongside it. God forbid they fall in and hurt themselves. So we're trying to look at every angle to try and keep this job moving. They said no, we want the report to come into their office. They're going to read the report, they're going to cross-examine it with their engineers in-house, in which time we've got to stop. So again, I kind of asked, could common sense prevail? But they said no. So our engineer, he actually went into his office and he asked a colleague to cross-examine his workings out. He's been doing it for 40 years, and they come to an agreement that, yeah, it's absolutely fine. It's not a problem with it. It's all good to go, okay? So back to building control I went, explained this. What they come up with was this, right? They said to me, we're not going to stop you pouring the concrete. You can pour the concrete. Now possibly there's maybe around about 50 to 60 tons of concrete going in here, okay? So they said you can pour the concrete if you like, no problem at all, but if it goes into the engineers within house in Merthyr Borough Council, then what will happen is, if they fail it and you've poured the concrete, you, Justin, are liable to rip it all back up and put it back in properly again. So I can't agree to that, can I? There's no way on this earth that I can agree to that, because why would I? I can't afford to take 60 ton of concrete up. I can't afford to do that on a whim. And I understand that they want to get it right as well. So it's all gone a little bit pear-shaped. It's all gone a little bit tricky. So I put that back to the engineer. Engineer said it's absurd. He finds it quite ridiculous. Doesn't understand why we just can't pour the bloody concrete. He's not willing to take the risk on it either. And the customer, well, I put all this back to him, and obviously he don't want to take the risk on it either. So here we are, we're on stop. So there's nothing happening until the council have checked up at the engineer's report, come back to us, and then whether they want to make changes or whether they say yes or no, that'll dictate whether we and when we can carry on and get the concrete in and make it safe and get on with the job. So I've just been, funny enough, the local's just come in here now, and he used to be the gardener on this property, and he says to me, the old owner, I think his name was Enos, he's had easily between 400 and 600 ton of stuff, because apparently this garden, it used to camber off, and what he's done is he's taken that camber out and built it up level with all made up ground, and he said none of it was whacked. It was just all thrown in the 70s, built up and covered over with topsoil and concrete and stuff, and job done. So that kind of explains it. But if you're doing your extension, this is something that does happen from time to time. This is something that we have stipulated in our quotation, that something could happen, you know, in terms of this. I've verbally spoken it to the customer no end of times to make him aware that if something goes wrong in the ground and we've got to go deeper or wider or anything happens, then obviously he needs to be made aware of it, and that if that did happen, that he would be the one to foot the bill for it. So if you're a builder or you're anybody looking to have an extension done, if you're a consumer, have your contingency ready, because it doesn't happen often, it doesn't, but it could happen to you. And if you're a builder, please tell your client that this problem could happen, because if you don't and you shock them, then this could turn into a catastrophe, by where they're saying, well, you've given us a price, I'm not willing to pay you, and you're saying then, well, it's not my job, it's your job, it's nothing to do with me. So if you get it all out in the open at the start, then obviously nobody wants to pay any extra money, but at least you've got an understanding for the client and yourself as a builder moving forward if it does happen. So yeah, we're playing a waiting game. I'm worried about the health and safety issue of it, which is why I've come up here today just to check the kids haven't been in. We got signs everywhere saying deep danger, deep excavation, warning, construction site, keep out, all those kinds of things. But if kids want to come in and they want to have a little go of it, think it's a playground, I'm fearful of that. So fingers crossed we get it done, and all will become apparent in the forthcoming videos on this extension build. So stay tuned and wish us luck. See you on the next one. Don't forget, please like, subscribe, and give us a share. And good luck on yours. See you on the next one. Cheers.